So with this, we will start our first session on supply chain management. And as usual, our first session is always will be a very basic outlook, 30,000 outlook session, so that we just try to get and understand the supply chain management from the outside world without getting inside it exactly, so that we can do a deep dive in coming sessions. Supply chain management is considered to be a lifeline of industry. And why it's called lifeline? Because from A to Z, it covers all the operations from start to end in the industry. And no part of the industry today is away, or they're not using supply chain management. That's not the scenario. Supply chain management exists from years and years together and centuries together. The only thing which is there in the supply chain management is it is the most dynamic management stream, and which adopts the best practices, best technologies to reach the product to the customer as early as possible, as good as possible, and the total product cycle movement from the raw material to the final product to the customer is ensured that it reaches in the right time, it reaches the right quality, it meets the expectation of customers. So this is all about the supply chain management life cycle in the industry, and we'll start with very basic understandings and concept of it. A very basic and very simple diagram to understand supply chain. You can see extreme left, there is a raw material. This raw material could be from anywhere. It could be from farmhouses, from the agriculture industry, wheat grain, you can say, or it could be a mining also. If it is a steel industry, then there will be an ore, iron ore you are getting. That is the raw material. So raw material is the first product essentially required. And the raw materials could be more than one, by the way. So that is the first thing essentially required to make anything that is called raw material. Then this raw material is supplied to the manufacturer through a supplier. So supplier goes to farmer, take his wheats and give it to factory who are making the breads. That is called supplier. When we comes to factory, factory manufactures the things. It produces the food products, it produces the iron, it produces the cement, anything. That is a factory. It produces chemicals. Then that factory output or the finished goods or the finished product is provided to distribution network. Distributors, distribution networks, correct? These distribution network supply the finished good to the retail shops across the country, across the region. And from the retail shops, the product reaches to the customer. So this is the process of how the raw material is converted to a finished good and reaching in the hands of customer. This is called basically a process of raw material to finished good to the customer. This process can be tweaked in many ways, which we are going to see in the coming session. But the basic concepts remain same. But is it supply chain management? So we will see more clearly. But this is first, let's understand very basics of how a raw material is converted to a finished good and finished good reaches to a customer. We can see another picture on the screen right now, which indicates something. And what is that indication? If you can see a couple of days word you are seeing, correct? Meaning is, this is the manufacturing premises, for example. Okay. From where the finished goods is sent by road in trucks, containers, and it reaches to the port. Okay. It reaches to the port. And from the port, it is being sent to where? It is being sent to the destination country, or the maybe the if it is a water highways in the country, within the country, then in that scenario, another part of the country, or from one country to another country. And then it is there and it reaches to the customs, to receiving port, where the custom clearances and all are done for that product if it is another country. And then it travels by road in that destination country. It takes almost 3 days and it arrives to the, either to directly to the customer or to the local distribution houses or local distribution retail counters. This was just to indicate you a timeline concept of outbound logistics. Means the finished good is traveling to the distribution network. Supply chain management is the centralized management of the flow of goods and services and includes all processes that transform raw materials into final products. The previous 2 slides was just to make you understand a pictorial view of supply chain management so that this particular definition can easily flow in your concept. It's a centralized management, always remember. It is not between the 2 locations, raw material to the supplier or supplier to the manufacturing premises. No, the supply chain management is a total integrated management, total centralized management. It starts from raw material until the finished good is reached in the hands of customer. So this management takes care, SCM takes care of all the processes involved from raw material to final product. By managing the supply chain, companies can cut excess cost and deliver products to the consumer faster and more efficiently. I would like to give an example at this point of time that, say for example, you are a manufacturing premises and your basic skills to manufacture, but your forte is not logistics. Okay. So what you do under the umbrella of supply chain management, you take an agency who are master in their field of logistics and tell them, look, you have to collect the product from my premises finished good. You have to give it to the distributors and the local retail shops in the town and in another region, maybe another state, maybe. And your delivery time is only 1 day or maybe 1.5 days. So you are negotiating your distribution terms and conditions with another agency who is master in logistics, who are high degree of professionalism involved, because it's their business. The way you have your business of manufacturing, they have their business of distribution and logistic network. And then in that scenario, you can negotiate the better price and better schedule of deliveries. And at the same time, you are able to focus your time on your manufacturing. You are not getting involved into supply chain logistic part of it. So this is how you can reduce your cost also. And you become more efficient. Previously, you could able to send your product in 4 days, but by adopting these practices, adopting specialized services available under the umbrella of supply chain, by the third-party service you are taking it, you are able to deliver your product in 2 days. Definitely, efforts made for 4 days by you will cost you definitely more. Whereas if you are getting it done in 2 days, the efforts cost will be less, and probably you will be getting it more cheaper price, more faster and more efficiently. So this is how the basics of supply chains, we'll keep continue discussing on that. So this is how the basics of supply chain helps out. Now, we are still discussing the basics, okay? Basic concept, we'll keep doing that. Now, from the commerce point of view, supply chain management is the management of flow of goods and services between business and locations, okay? This can include the movement and storage of raw material, work in progress inventory, finished goods, and end-to-end order fulfillment from the point of origin to the point of consumption. Whatever we have seen here, the movement of goods, storage of raw material, work in inventory, that is broadly covered under the umbrella of logistic management, which is another part of supply chain management. But when you look from the commerce point of view, supply chain management adds more value to it. Supply chain management includes even the forecast to these goods movement, the demand forecast, distribution forecast, raw material production forecast, everything is included there, which we'll see from the coming slides, not specifically mentioned here, but even it includes something extra other than just the movement or the logistics of the goods. At the most fundamental levels, if you understand supply chain management, is a flow of goods, data, and finances. See, the goods moves in one direction from raw material to the customer, correct? And at the same time, at every location, you are generating some data, some information you are generating. That raw material production this time was delayed by 10 days, one information generated. Or raw material this time has been produced early. We got our raw material desired quantity 3 days in advance. One more information data is generated. So in supply chain management, when the goods moves, that is the thing which are visible to you. But there are things which are not visible to you, but which are very critical to understand whole supply chain management is. We are getting a real-time information of each and every movement of each and every component of supply chain. It could be production delays. So your normal production for 1 ton is normally 1 day, but in last 1 month, you are producing 1.5 tons per day, correct? So your productivity has increased, or so you got a new information. And as soon as you get this new information, your down the line supply chain has to be tuned for that. Even upstream supply chain, that means the movement of raw material should be increased in this scenario. So this is called the data. Data is nothing but digital data, information, which makes supply chain more intelligent, more reliable, get more backup for supply chain to take better decisions. And finances for sure. Everything, when the goods are moving, finances are moving in other directions. Correct? So the good movement and the finance movement is in opposite to each other. Okay. So finance related to products or services, correct? So this is how in the most fundamental definition of supply chain management, these three parameters are very important. Goods movement, data movements, and finance movements.